ستوريز من وطن الكرامة.
Hello, welcome to Watan al-Karama News Channel. It is 9 p.m. our time for top stories, and we start with the latest developments in Libya. UN envoy to Libya Martin Kobler met with the Parliament Speaker Councillor Gila Saleh Guider at his residence area of Shahata. According to parliamentary sources, Kobler has received Director of the Presidential Office in Parliament, Awad al-Vaturi, before the presence of Councillor Gila Saleh Guider, who was accompanied by Saleh Himma and his advisor for African Affairs, Isa Abdel Majid. The sources said that the UN envoy attended the scheduled session of Parliament on Monday. UN envoy to Libya Martin Kobler called on the crisis parties in the country to quickly join the political agreement. Kobler said in a post on the official page of UN mission in Libya that what he called the train is moving quickly towards signing the agreement and everyone should join this political agreement, describing the outcome of this meeting with the Libyan parties and the international community as good and fruitful. Libyan Parliament member Abu Bakr Said unveiled a roadmap for the Presidential Council's authorizations of the Libyan National Unity Government headed by Faiz Estiraja. Said said that the beginning will be with the Rome Conference in mid-December, which will be followed by the signing of a political agreement by Parliament members who voted for the Zan initiative and the approval of boycotters and large number of outgoing Congress. The Parliament member pointed out that after the signing, the Security Council will issue a strong resolution supporting the agreement in December 24. French Defense Minister Gilles Le Drian stressed that his country's refusal to military intervene against the terrorists in Libya if the parties there do not agree on the formation of a unity government. French Defense Minister noted that his country has spotted the arrival of what he calls foreign jihadists to Sirte, warning of the risk of flood of Daesh terrorist militants to Libya. However, he ruled out the military intervention in Libya, calling on both Egypt and Algeria to agree on putting pressure on the conflict parties. Parliament Speaker Councillor Gila Saleh Guider summoned some of the leaders of Benghazi district to know the course of military operations in the city against terrorist Daesh militants. During the meeting, Guider listened to an explanation by leaders on how the battles are going on in different districts in Benghazi. The district's leaders presented an integrated picture to Guider about the military situation and problems that have contributed to the delay of the decisiveness operation in the city. And still, Libya Air Force jets launched a number of airstrikes on positions of terrorist Daesh group in Derna. Local sources in the city reported that the raids came in the early hours of the morning and targeted the sites and strongholds of the terrorist group and militias supporting it in Derna, the matter that caused heavy losses, but casualties in their ranks have not been known yet. On to Ajdabia, gunmen assassinated an armed forces soldiers in city of Ajdabia during a continuing operations targeting the army. Security personnel and journalists in the city said. An officer in the city noted that gunmen opened fire on soldiers Musa al-Fakhiri in the main street leading to Unity Bank in the city of Ajdabia and shot him dead. He added that he does not rule out that the terrorist Daesh group is responsible for this operation. And now we transfer to the Arab arena, topped by Yemen. The United Nations envoy to Yemen touched down in the southern port city of Aden today to discuss prospects for peace talks between the embattled Aden-based government and Houthi forces, sources close to Yemen's president said today. Forces there to President Abdrabbu Mansour Hadi, backed by mainly Gulf Arab states, have been locked in 8 months of civil war with the Houthis who rule the capital Sana'a. Previous UN-led efforts to solve the crisis through dialogue have failed as battles rage across the country. The UN envoy Ismail Wuld Sheikh Ahmed arrived at Aden International Airport today ahead of a meeting with President Hadi aimed at laying the groundwork for the Geneva II talks. Meanwhile, the UN World Food Programme has warned that food supplies in Yemen are deteriorating quickly and the country is at risk of slipping into famine. 10 out of Yemen's 22 governorates are now classified as facing food insecurity at emergency level, one step below famine. Speaking in the capital Sana'a, EFP's Deputy Regional Director Matthew Hollingworth said that clearly Yemen is one of the hardest places in the world today to work. Massive security concerns, escalations in the fighting and the violence across the country. On to Syria, Britain's Ministry of Defense said today that British bombers made their second round of strikes on terrorist Daesh targets in Syria, again hitting oil fields. Its Tornado and Typhoon warplanes from Britain's airbase in Akrotiri, Cyprus, conducted air strikes on targets in terrorist Daesh group controlled the oil field at Ammar in eastern Syria. The ministry said an unmanned Reaper drone also destroyed a Daesh truck bomb south of Sinjar. British lawmakers approved the bombing of targets in Syria on Wednesday. However, hours after that approval, British bombers struck the oil field that the government says are used to fund attacks on the west. British Defence Minister Michel Fallon told Sky News while on a visit to the Akrotiri base that airstrikes can make a difference in starting to squeeze extremist Daesh back into its heartland, reduce its ability to resupply and reinforce over in Iraq, and to cut off its sources of revenue. They have been making a lot of money out of the oil. The Iraqi government has demanded today that Turkey withdrew its forces who entered Iraq with tanks and artillery for alleged training of troops near terrorist Daesh-occupied Mosul. Baghdad said that the unsanctioned move was a breach of its sovereignty. Iraqi President Fuad Massoum called the deployment of several hundred Turkish troops inside Iraq near the northern city of Mosul a violation of international rules and law. But Turkish Prime Minister Ahmed Davutoglu said that the troops' rotations was routine and the camp had originally been set up in coordination with the Iraqi authority. A Turkish security source said that yesterday that several hundred Turkish troops have been deployed to provide training for Iraqi troops near Mosul, a city of more than 1 million people, which extremist Daesh militants overran in July 2014. News of the Turkish troops in Iraq comes shortly after Ankara's motives in the war on terrorist Daesh group have been questioned by Moscow and Tehran as well as by Baghdad. 3 suicide bombers attacked the island of Khalifa on the Chadian side of Lake Chad today, killing around 30 people and injuring 80, the security sources said today. The sources said that the attacks coincided with the market today. It was not immediately clear who was responsible for the attacks, although the swampy maze of islands have previously been targeted by militant group Boko Haram from neighboring Nigeria. Chad extended a state of emergency in the region last month after a double suicide attack that killed 12 people. Earlier this year, thousands of people fleeing Boko Haram sought refuge on the island, although it was not immediately clear if they were still based there. The UN Office for Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs said today that this week over 50,000 internally displaced people had arrived in the region since in July. My audience, that is a wrap-up of our top stories for today. For much more, you can check our website www.watanalkarama.tv. Thanks very much for being with us. My greeting, Rانيا البليدى.